Hi guys, this is Melanie and I'm back with another speed build for The Sims 4, and I'm finally coming back around to my Harry Potter builds. I did the night bus before, and now I am doing number 12, Grimmauld Place, and this takes place in a few builds. So for this build, I just started with obviously like the main building, the outside structures, and then I get through, I think, the first floor and the basement, which is the kitchen. So if you guys don't watch Harry Potter or read the books, number 12 Grimmauld Place is just an old building in London where the magical people, well, it's just a complicated story, Harry Potter, but that's where they kind of like a safe house for them. So, like, the FBI has safe houses, and this is like the witch equivalent sort of thing. I don't know if that's accurate at all, actually, but we're gonna say it is. I'm sure most everybody knows what this is, though. And I could have just made the main building, but I wanted to actually make the buildings on the side of it. Like in the movie and in the book, you can't see number 12. It just goes from like numbers 11 to 13 because number 12 is like a secret building. And so I wanted to make like the other buildings on the side to just kind of like portray that it's older than the other ones. So I made the brick darker and the siding darker, and just to make it like a row of houses. And I actually went to Harry Potter World in Florida, and that was one of my favorite parts, was seeing number 12 Grimmauld Place. They have it like, it's so cool. They have the night bus and number 12 Grimmauld Place and then the leaky cauldron, and it just looks like you're in London, like it's normal. And then you actually go through a secret wall, and then you go into like Diagon Alley. It's so cool. It's like how it really would have been in the books, how it's like normal city on one side and magical city behind it. So I kind of wanted to, I don't know, that's one of my main reasons for wanting to make number 12 Grimmauld Place, because when I saw it, I loved it. And I loved how the number 12 was darker than the buildings beside it, because it was like old and decrepit. And I think I was reading about why the blacks lived in number 12's Grimmauld Place, and it was something about how I think it's weird that they lived there because not a lot of other witches and wizards lived there, but apparently it was a very affluent part of London, and they wanted to be rich, and have like nice things like the other rich people of London, so they made like a secret house in the ritzy area of London, so just kind of like a status symbol for the blacks. So here I am going through and trying to make the other buildings look a little newer and less like, I don't know, sad, I guess. And I do furnish the other buildings. I furnished the one on the right, but I still need to furnish the one on the left. But these take like a while to furnish. Like, you think I've already got a bus on this lot and 3 houses essentially. Like, they should be pretty easy to furnish, but they're big houses. I think I had like 4 bedrooms in the right house and like a theater room. Like, there's a lot of space. This is a really big lot. So right now I'm just trying to work out the layout. And I know I'm not like the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world, so I hope none of my information I am giving isn't accurate. But I do like Harry Potter a lot. So that's why I wanted to build this and was inspired thus. And like I said, I went to Harry Potter World and it was just magical. That sounds weird coming out. Obviously, it was magical. It was Harry Potter World, but like more than just like regular magical. It was like a very fun place to be. And there seems to be a lot of pauses in this build. I think I must have been watching a show or something while I was doing this. I watch a lot of Netflix. It's like my go-to way to relax. It's like watch Netflix and build something on The Sims. And so it must have been a very tantalizing part of whatever I was watching. I don't remember what show I was watching at the time. So we go from like my last build, which was like frenzied and crazy fast, to this one, which is definitely a slower pace, but that's probably better anyway. I'm actually really into watching. I was just thinking about this because this is obviously takes place in England, but I'm really into watching anything BBC. So that was probably appropriate for this build. Like, I'll watch anything. If it has like BBC in the title, I'm there. It can be like an old show that like only old women probably watch in England, and I'll watch it because I just like it. I just like their accents, and I don't know, I just love it. Some of the crime shows get a little nasty for me because it's different ratings in here in the US, and so they can be pretty like, well, it's the same as shows here. Like, sometimes I go to watch a show and it like gives me nightmares, so I have to stop watching it. Some of the British shows are like that. Those are the ones I won't watch. But other than that, I'm in. They have a British accent, I'm in. And so I was toying around with making basements. So these basements, a lot of row houses have basements. And this is like a way you can make a window well, which I discovered. So what you have to do is you have to build a basement. You can either use like the underground build tool, which is just like the building wall tool that has little bricks on it. Or you can just go down to the basement level and build a basement. And then you have to make sure you've selected the room. And then you go up another level and click on your selection, which will be like a yellow outline of the basement. And then once you click on it, you can put remove floor. And that's how you make like a window well. So like an open basement. If that made any sense. Hopefully it did. So right now I'm working on the upper level. I accidentally deleted part of the basement, but I was just putting that old, it talks about like a big stump, like it was like an elephant tree stump or something in the foyer. So I just put that down, and now I'm putting up the picture of Mrs. Black that like screams at them unless there's a curtain over it. And in the basement, it doesn't show it in the build, but it shows it in the screenshots. I made a little like back room. Oh, here it is. Here's the kitchen. I thought we had jumped to that already. But yeah, you don't see it in the kitchen build, but I make like a back room for Creature because it talks about he lives, I don't know where it is, like maybe behind the stove or something. But I made him a little room, and I put out a little like lawn gnome that looks like the Grim Reaper as Creature. And then I put like the necklace decoration back there and some garbage and some other stuff and like a little bed for him. And the necklace is supposed to signify how he had the locket that ended up being one of the Horcruxes. But I'm sad you don't see that part. But right now I'm just working on the kitchen, and I imagine the Black's house to be pretty fancy, but the kitchen I made kind of like a mix of a bunch of stuff, like a hodgepodge. So there's like a bunch of different kinds of chairs and stuff, just because I'm sure the Blacks never went down to the kitchen, so that it didn't really matter what it looked like. Maybe like all the misfit furniture got put there that didn't have anywhere else to go. And it looks like there's a pause in my video right now. I must have been doing something. And I really liked the Halloween wallpapers for this build. Actually, everything from like the spooky stuff pack was perfect for this build because it has like a spooky air about it and very like regal and rich feeling. And so going up the stairs of the house, the Black house, is the heads of the house elves, like the previous owners. But there weren't like necessarily heads on plaques I could put up. Kind of thank heavens, that would be very freaky. So I just put up like the weirdest looking fish I could find on the plaques to represent like the house elves who had gone before Creature. There are a lot of like dismembered heads in the Harry Potter stuff. I was just thinking about the Night Bus build I did, and they were like the shrunken heads, and now we've got like little house elf heads. It's a very gloomy place to be, I guess. And so I kind of looked up online, and you can find house plans that kind of represent what the Black house could have looked like. So I went off one of those, and I put the sitting room on this level, and then on the level above I put the dining room and I think one of the bedrooms. And then there's a bathroom on this main floor as well. And I don't know if you see it in this build, I might have gone back and done it later, but I grew a cow plant and then I put it behind a glass window. So the bathroom has like a dead cow plant behind a glass window. It's really freaky looking. I thought it turned out really cool. And then this room is the main family room. They talk about it a lot in the books where they're like cleaning it out and trying to like get all the spells and pests out of there. And there's like a scene with Harry, Hermione, and Ron where they're all sleeping on the floor. And then later on, Ron and Hermione have like a moment on the piano. So I put a piano in there. And I think I mess around with the layout of this room for a while. It was just very long and skinny. I didn't want to block the front door necessarily, but this room felt too long and skinny. So I think I did end up blocking. I'm not quite sure if this is the final layout or if I change it again, but I think I may have ended up blocking the front door a little bit. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. But I for sure wanted to get a seating area in. And then another essential part of this room was the black portraits, or they describe it as like a tapestry in the book, and it has a family tree with like an embroidered portrait for each person. That's what I'm working on now. So I just decided to use the pictures. I mean, there's obviously not some like large tapestry with faces on it. So I used pictures, and then a couple of the, right there I'm putting up the black boys, and then a couple of the faces are blotched out of the tapestry, like it looks like they got set on fire, and that would be when like one of the family members was deemed unworthy of being considered part of the family, like if they were sympathetic towards like half-bloods or something. So I forgot what I did. I think I ended up putting just like giant spiders over their faces to kind of block out those family members. So I put a block on Sirius because I knew that he was one of the family members that got like burnt out. Yeah, there he goes. And then I just put him on a couple random other people because I figured he couldn't be the only one that got expelled from the Black family. Which I think is interesting because you find out later that Regulus actually helped Harry with the Horcruxes, but I guess no one knew about that when he was alive, so he didn't get blacked out. Didn't get to, like, it's a big honor. Maybe it is if you're part of that family. You don't want to be part of it. But right now I'm still furnishing it. I wanted to go for very dark colors. I wanted everything to look really gloomy and just kind of like very fancy, but not very welcoming either. And I start doing it in the other rooms, the bedrooms especially, but I put a lot of like weird things in, like weird bugs and pets and aliens, just like random dark arts stuff that I would imagine they might have. And I wish there were more paintings that looked more old in The Sims. There are quite a few paintings, I guess, but there could definitely be more, and there could definitely be more old-fashioned ones, because there are like three main ones: a man, a woman, and this big portrait with like the flowers. And there are other ones, but like you find yourself using the same ones over and over again, especially for this build, because I wanted lots of people portraits, so I end up using the same like three portraits. Like if I hadn't have had the Halloween stuff pack, I would have been really out of luck. So I ended up using this tree that came with, I think it was Dine Out, because the other ones just looked way too cheerful and like cartoony, and it didn't really fit what I was going for. So here I am putting in Sirius's mother again. And again, that portrait looks way too happy for like what I imagine her looking like. Like that looks like a very nice lady, but I imagine her looking like scary and mean, horrible lady. I'm not quite sure why I'm going in the night bus here. I think I must be adding something that I decided later on should have gone in there. I do that a lot. I'll see something and be like, well, I should have put that in the build, and I'll have to go back and redo it. But yeah, I mess with this floor plan a lot. I think I decided finally just to like go into the neighbors a little bit. I don't even know if I did on the outside or if I just cheated and went a little bit on the inside and was like, you know what, they're magical, they can take up part of your house. Maybe they do that and you don't even know it. Suddenly your house just feels smaller one day, but there's no accounting for why. Um, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I decided to do. I'm interested. I built this a while ago. I need to do a lot better with getting builds up sooner after they're done so I can remember exactly what I was thinking and what I was doing. But I was really inspired to do this build, like I've talked about, just from going to Harry Potter World. Um, and I don't know which I liked better. My husband and I went to Disney World and Harry Potter World, so Universal Studios. And I for sure liked Disney World better than most of Universal Studios. But the Harry Potter part of Universal Studios was amazing. I wasn't a big fan of the other parts. There was like Dr. Seuss Land, which Dr. Seuss is a little bit weird. I don't know, I'm not a huge fan, which is funny because I'm actually doing a Dr. Seuss build right now, but it's fun to build. I just am not like a huge fan of it. Um, but I think I may have liked Harry Potter World better than Disney World. Ooh, I don't know. The Magic Kingdom and Harry Potter World, those are my favorite parts of that whole trip. Just like the detail involved in everything and just the atmosphere. I definitely go off of the vibe I get from a place, and I got very good vibes there. I talked about how I make a cow plant, but I went into debug mode and got all of the alien plants. I think there are like 4 of them, and grew all of them and put them in this build because they're the most exotic looking plants, and I'm really happy I did that. They turned out pretty cool. And I wish you could just put full grown plants into builds, but you can't. You can see what they look like, but as soon as you pull them out to use them, they turn into a seed and you have to wait for them to grow. So if you want to have a full grown plant, you have to like have a sim move onto the lot and water it and stuff before you can actually put it in your build, which is kind of annoying. But I really like the detail of the cow plant, like instead of like if you let it die, since it's kind of a living creature, instead of just like disappearing, or I don't know what would happen, but it actually turns into a skeleton. It's really cool looking. And here I am just adding some more clutter, some more portraits. I know I talked about the Harry Potter mod I have, but it actually has like portraits that can go in the castle and more wizarding portraits, and I think that's one of the things that I will add when I make the modified version of this build. So I'm excited for that because I'll have like wands out and different crazy things. And this build took me a very long time. I already said in my last video, but I'm a very, very slow builder. People will talk about how their builds take forever and it took them like 4 hours, and that's just like average for me for like a small house. I don't know if I put more detail in or if I just don't know the game quite as well, or if I get distracted. Probably a mixture of all of those. But I really like to be thorough with it. And there is my little sim. He snuck in when I was changing the lighting, I think. But I think we're almost to the screenshots. And I really hope you get to see more details in the kitchen of the screenshots. You can kind of see Creature's little house, or his little area where he lives, with the walls down. I couldn't do it with the walls up because it was in such a cramped corner that if the walls were up, you couldn't actually see into his little home. But he has like a little door and he's guarding it. But I really love the way the kitchen turned out. It's really cluttered and it looks very cheerful, especially compared to the rest of the house. So like the yellow lighting instead of like the green lighting and purple lighting I put in the rest of the house. And I did I sized up the fireplace so that they could go into it, and I put a little urn so it looks like the flue powder that you would use in the fireplace. And there's Creature with the little necklace in the back. And that's pretty much this build, and I will be back with the second part of number 12 Grimmauld Place. And thank you for listening, and have a great day. Bye.